a simple tool that banishes overwhelm. And overwhelm is one of the most common issues that people come to me with. They feel completely stressed out in every area of their life. They've got feelings of not being able to cope at all, even with small tasks. They need to control everything. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know, take minute control of what other people are wearing, what they should be saying, what people should be doing, getting into other people's business. This is all about those feelings of being in overwhelm. They've got massive feelings of just not being good enough. Everything they do is just not enough. If they're at work, they feel they should be with the kids. If they're with the kids, they want to be at work. They want to be everywhere else except for where they are. Do you know what I'm talking about? People lose all focus. People are thinking about something else when they should be focusing on those emails. They should be getting that marketing plan out. And people become very, very forgetful. They don't show up for that Zoom call. They miss meetings. And all this is because they are in complete overwhelm, which keeps you stuck. And so you are unable to make a decision. And amongst all of this, everybody comes to me and says they're on a really short fuse and they've got this temper that just sort of flies off the handle. So I'm sure some of you at home right now can resonate with some of these things that people feel when they're really overwhelmed in life. And the overriding thing that people come to me with suffering from overwhelm is this continual negative thinking, these thoughts that loop round and round and round, and they beat themselves up with this great big stick and they look upon everything else as negative. There's no positivity left in life as these thoughts keep going round in their minds. So I'd love to introduce here Nicola. She's an old client of mine. She's a journalist and she was in complete overwhelm. She just didn't know what to do next. She tried lots of things. She's a very, very intelligent girl. She writes amazing articles. She's had some really good reviews. So she couldn't work it out exactly what was going on. She was just really suffering in so many areas. She'd been married to Robert for many years and they had 3 beautiful kids. She came to me and she said, she was putting on weight. She was eating all the wrong food. Why? She's always been, you know, very conscious of what she eats. She had no energy. She was really lethargic. She was drinking too much. That second glass of wine had gone up to a bottle of wine. This negative thinking was taking over. She was really becoming very distant from her husband and she felt so out of control. And all this had a massive effect on her work because she really wasn't producing what she usually produced and what was expected of her, which sent her into that spiral of negative thinking. So what did we do with Nicola? We helped Nicola to work in a smart way. She went right back to basics and the foundational to grow any sort of good mindset is to think in a positive way. So we went right back to basics and really helped Nicola to see things in a new light. We then helped Nicola get back her control because a lot of things she felt were out of control. She could control what she eats, that's down to her, how she dresses, how she wore her hair, what time she pitched up at work, what exercise she did, whether she did a yoga class. These were all things in her control, and she began to focus in on the things that she could control. She prioritized the most important things in her life and they were very, very clear to her. And once she was able to prioritize things, things started looking better for her. But one of the big things we did with Nicola is we stopped her overthinking these negative thoughts. And so right now, I guess this is something you do. You tell yourself a bunch of stories, right? You tell yourself a bunch of actual untruths, okay? So I've got the most amazing tool. It's very quick It works. You can practice this at home with me right now. What it is called the emergency stop. And it is designed as a pattern interrupt which stops that negative thinking dead in its tracks. It does not heal your past, but what it does is it stops the stories, because it's the stories that destroy the self-esteem, that pull you down into those dark, dark places. So I'd love you to sit back for 2 minutes and just experience this technique. So for our practice purposes today, I invite you all to close your eyes. And what this means is you just stop taking in the information around you. So I'd like you to think about a negative thought. Any negative thought, it doesn't matter. It's just for, today's example, if you like. Anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, an unpleasant emotion. So just have that in mind. Just note that you've got that memory in your mind. And when you've got that memory in your mind, doesn't matter what it is, we're not telling anyone. Just push it to one side, because I'm going to ask you in a moment to grab it again. So hopefully you've all got that negative memory in your mind. And now what I want you to do is to imagine a clock face. This is an analog clock with an hour hand, a minute hand, and a second hand. Think about the colour of the hands and the face. And if there are numerals or markers on it, the clock is working and you can see the second hand moving. Make it really vivid, make it really strong in your mind. See the colour of the clock, make it so strong. And now send your mind to that negative memory and make that as vivid as you possibly can. And when it's so vivid, I want you to zoom in quickly to what seems to be the real nub of the situation. Zoom right in. And now freeze that memory solid. Make it as though it's a 3D model frozen in time in which you can move, but nothing else can. Be inside it, looking out rather than outside it, looking in. Freeze it solid. And now see the clock face and notice that the clock has stopped. The second hand isn't moving even the tiniest amount. Focus on that clock that has stopped at that time. Absolutely stopped. And as soon as you focused on that clock that has stopped at that time, you can open your eyes. And if I was to ask you what you saw now, my guess is you are looking at the clock that has stopped. And what that does is it stops you going down that negative trail of stories, of lies, of untruths. And so this is a tool, and all tools need to be practiced. You cannot just have a tool and expect it to work. So practice this, ladies and gentlemen, because it works. It really works. I've also got it's just less than 2 minutes, a recording that I'm very happy to send you, because this has been one of my #1 tools to also help I'm part of Frontline 19, helping the NHS stay online where they need to be, keeping us safe. And this is a brilliant tool that many, many NHS staff have been using. So practice it works, because these negative thoughts, these stories do destroy you.